Well, here we are, we three queens. I'm Micheline.
I'm Musonda.
And I'm a Ching.
And today we're going to talk about something that probably has been talked about, but we want to add our strand. And that is about hair. Hair! Cheveux, nuelle, cabelos. And I suppose being black, for some reason, hair just comes in and out of our personal, cultural, sometimes even political narrative. And so I want to hear from my co-queens about any hair experiences. And I'm going to start off by sharing one of mine. And here's the premise. The premise I have found is that in the West, and you know, I'm going into when I first started sort of working seriously, early 2000s. Black women were either told or somehow learned from their contextual kind of environments to keep their hair less African, less black. And we all know this. I know for sure my career counselor, you know, post-university told me to make sure that I had my hair relaxed, and she's an African-American woman, and so straight and always pulled back. And so that was in my hair for a while. And she explicitly said no cornrows, no braids. So what I would like to do is to just explore that in an African or in a non-Western context first, if anybody has examples, because I always just thought that that's because we're supposed to be minority, say in America, and that, you know, our hairstyles therefore were sort of misunderstood. But I didn't think about it in an African context. So I wonder, you know, if we could sort of start there.
I think
and then go for any other hair anecdotes you might have.
I think it's really creeped up a lot on us as well. I mean, do you know what? I mean, India really says I'm not my hair, but quite frankly, you know, we are our hair somehow, but at the same time, all these cultural norms, and I think within the African context in particular, for me, I mean, my twin sister and I, born from a South African mother, I do not have a picture of my childhood where we had hair ribbons and no.
Right.
Because she didn't have hair, and they have short hair cut. So,
Right.
So really short hair.
Yes.
So as I grew older, you know, I remember my Zambian side of the family, they were like, well, just let it grow a little, you know. And then that little grow a little, and then transcending a little bit like you, getting into the professional space. And I don't know about you ladies, but Zambian women, we love the weaves. You know, you got to look a little bit more.
There was one at the hair salon yesterday. She's like, I just need to fix this little patch and make it blonde. And she had to redo her tracks. I was like, fascinatingly Zambian.
Yeah, and I literally stopped doing that when I moved to Europe. And then I stopped perming my hair when I moved to Europe. I was like, I don't have the time. And at the same time, I don't know who would manage my hair. So I've had my hair natural pretty much for a good 20 years. And but being like you as well, and being in Europe, and I don't know about your experiences, I remember moving to London, and I'll just, you know, for the sake of just, you know, getting quickly to uni or whatever, I'd put, you know, I'd go and do lines like yourself, and everybody in the department would be like, oh, okay, so what's going on here? So there was an interpretation of the lines. Oh, but when I walked in with a weave, wavy and, you know, straight, they were like, wow, you look so pretty. And I'm like, so is
associations.
Exactly. And and at that moment, I was just like, I am not doing that.
Exactly.
It's such bias, huh?
What have you experienced?
So for me, because most of my career has been here on the continent, I think that for me the biggest thing was that because I always looked small and young, I always wanted to try and look older, and so I'd have those big weaves.
Yes.
You know those big weaves of like the 60s? In fact, I was looking at some of my pictures the other day.
I only saw you with medium weaves in the 2000s when I met you.
Maybe I upgraded. I upgraded. No, but I had big hair for so long because I knew it made me look a little older. Because I felt like people needed to take me seriously, and they'd take me seriously if I looked older.
Right.
Because I guess it was a form of, age discrimination.
Right.
Is that if I looked younger, then therefore what could I possibly know, and you know, so on. So that was kind of my big drama. But I also had a lot of in Europe. I know that my colleagues would sort of every time, you know, I'd rock up. I've got red curls. And then 2 weeks later, after Maybe I find a hairdresser, I go with now bob, and then one time I'm in an Afro kind of curly thing.
Yeah.
And they'd always just comment and say, "Oh, you changed your hair again." And I'd be
Right.
like, "Yeah,
Yes.
a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do."
Yeah.
They were quite nice about it in that they were not discriminatory, but I think they were conscious not to be.
Right.
And there's such a large population of black people in Paris.
Right. So you
Right.
kind of learn from experience, or a lot of companies now
Yeah.
have, sort of explicit
Yeah.
Diversity training where you go
Yeah,
through things.
yeah. But bear in mind that none of it was natural.
Right.
Maybe the
Okay,
reaction to
okay.
natural
So you haven't
rough
tried, like, the
might have been
power
different. The power fro,
Afro.
like now how everybody's rocking these kind of,
Yes.
rough fros,
Yes.
Yeah.
which I think are so cool.
They're so cool.
I don't
Actually,
know what the reaction would have been then,
It's our
you know.
hair,
Yeah.
It's
It's our hair,
natural
we love
state,
it.
honestly.
Yeah.
I know,
When I
totally.
take out my cornrows, wash my hair, whatever, comb it, condition it, that is
Yeah.
exactly how it looks, until of course we apply heat and stuff.
Yeah.
But bringing it home, there's something you said about the bias. Everything we've talked about has been biased. So a good friend of mine has the longest, neatest, most beautiful locs, and so she talks about a time she was only in her late 20s. It was her second job, I guess, maybe 5 years experience. So she goes into an interview with a bank. And she had been to a couple already,
Yeah.
and she had told people how she's going on interviews here in Nairobi, and people would be like, "Do you think they'll take you that seriously
With the
with
locks?
that
Wow.
hair?"
Yeah.
And she had heard this and heard this, and so what does she do? And I thought this was really clever.
Yeah.
She goes into the interview, and she says, and it's mostly gentlemen, banking. So she's like, "Gentlemen, just before we get started, I do know that there's a little bias against my locks. They're fresh, they're clean, you can smell them. I don't smoke, weed necessarily. And guess what? With my commercial degree and my 5 years experience in the sector and my particular, whatever it was she needed, customer insights, I'm sure you'll find me to be an extraordinary candidate for the job."
Wow.
She put it-
I love
preempted.
I it gave me goosebumps. I wish I was there. She just told me this
That's
the other day, because I
clever.
was doing a quick sample of in Nairobi. how
That's
it's
Yeah.
done.
clever.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so clever. She put it up front,
Wow.
and indeed she was the most qualified, the most everything, and she allowed them to sort of, have a look. And her locks really are this long. They smell good, and
Wow.
this is my hairstyle. And she got the job, and years on, she'd laugh with her colleagues
Oh,
till today.
fantastic.
About how she used it as a
Fantastic.
tool to just put it out there.
Right.
Like, forget your bias. I am
Right.
here, and it
Yes.
picks me for my CV.
Good.
And
Good.
so on the continent, it's happening, and this is the thing that has shocked me, that we do have this bias.
Yeah.
An HR lady actually told me that, I should stop calling her HR lady. It's my pet name for her. She's really like a senior expert in human resources. And she said that some clients tell her, let's get a woman, of course, for advertising and marketing, more like straight hair weave types, not the other ones with their shaggy hair.
Wow.
And that has
Wow.
been said in 2020.
Wow.
Wow.
And this to me was, I was
It has.
so
We have to interrogate
shocked.
it. It has to change.
We have to interrogate our
Yeah.
biases.
No, totally. Totally.
And part of that, as part of that interrogation, I have mine that I just want to put out there, and I'm shocked and annoyed at it. And I just feel so biased against working in corporate. I know, please forgive me. And people wearing a doek, a kitamba, a headscarf to the job. Can you believe it? Like, I feel like you're not looking like you should be at work.
Oh, really?
It's a problem. And
So how do you
putting it
react when
out
somebody
there
does?
Because the thing about bias, and
Yeah.
the thing about judgment is we're very quick to say, don't judge, don't judge. What are our biases? So I first saw it in South Africa because they do it a lot.
Yes.
And I was just like, wow, people. And the dukes themselves are nice. I mean, we've worn, I think,
Yeah.
once or twice on this show.
Yeah.
But like, to work in a corporate context, I got to work on it. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
I just feel like maybe I just felt like it was for at home, or you're just trying to be jazzy.
But
on
women
the
are
job.
wearing it now more.
Trust
I mean,
me.
A lot.
Just help me get over it.
we'll help you get over it. I'll
Yeah.
help you get
So are
over
you
it.
telling me you have no biases? Like,
Do you know
for
what? I used to have a lot of biases, bald
hair.
head.
Okay.
Like totally like razor blade
bald.
bald head
Really?
for women.
Yeah.
And maybe it was because the perception I face in Europe and stuff
Yes.
like that. And then I just went and cut my
You
hair
did
and
that.
had
You
it
had that bald look. You
totally
had it.
platinum.
Are you kidding me?
And walked
That's
into
so
the UN
beautiful.
looking that way, and everybody was like,
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I think that's so awesome. That's so awesome. You know what my bias used to be? I have to admit, it used to be, but it was in the earlier days. Dreadlocks.
Okay.
It was always a thing where I mean, I hate to sound like the men
Own
in that
Own
situation,
it. Yes.
but I used to feel like, how clean is it? And yet you know somebody washes their hair every week.
That's why that friend said,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm sure that day she really put in that yummy shampoo.
Yeah.
Exactly, it
Yeah.
smells so good. But it used to be a bias. But I think those were also the early days when people, like not a lot of people had dreads. You know, so unless it was kind of, you know, Mau
Right.
stuff,
It's so funny. But
activism.
people out there-
Yeah, seriously. Now it's great.
People-
I don't think I'd do dreads
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
I have nothing against them. You know, a couple of my daughter's good friends have
Yeah.
dreadlocks, and
Right.
I think they look so
You've
cool.
got a hairstyle that people might say, I don't know about.
Completely.
I don't know about a dark-skinned
Yeah.
woman with a short
Short hair,
blonde fro.
yeah.
So I did this
You know?
at a milestone stage of my life.
Yes.
And it was one of those it was almost a statement thing for me. Of course, I was, you know, started graying, but I just thought, there was a girl.
It's platinum blonde.
It's actually platinum blonde, girl. This is how I improvised on the gray.
Oh,
Yeah,
look
but
at
I started
you.
graying.
Yeah.
I was turning 50, and I
Which we still
decided.
cannot believe, but anyway.
And I decided I'm cutting off my hair. And there was a girl in the salon who always had blonde hair for so long and a beautiful round head. And I told her, I really, really want to look like you. I know my head is not as round, but I'm going to do that.
Nice head.
And that's how I did
Good
it.
head.
And
Good
honestly,
head. It's really
I
great.
love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
But did you guys see the Oscar winner?
Yeah.
Hair Love. Isn't that jazz?
Isn't that incredible? That
I
cute.
loved it.
Please check it out, Hair Love.
It was so good.
It was
It's a book as well as a
as well as a short movie, yes.
Yeah.
film, and it had
It's
the
great.
girl
Where the dad has to
natural
deal with
hair.
her
Yeah.
daughter's, you know,
Yes,
his daughter's
doing her
hair.
hair and
And it's
everything.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And it deals with sort of two stereotypes, you know, types of sort of the natural hair and a man having to deal with his daughter's hair, which is just, oh my goodness, it's
Exactly.
just
I
beautifully
love it.
done. I
It's
love it.
Lovely. It's lovely. I think for me also, I'm very encouraged to see the conversations around hair and seeing so many women with natural hair. And I loved that Miss Universe was rocking
she looked
her
gorgeous.
natural hair. And it was short.
Yeah.
So against all those...
She was confident.
She was so confident and so stunning.
Yes.
Those are the things that continue to give us permission to be who we
Absolutely.
are
Absolutely.
in God's plan for how we were meant to be.
Exactly.
And thank God for wigs, right?
And then thank God for wigs, because then we have
And
options.
all those tricks that we can do as black women.
Yes.
So listen, we could sit forever and talk about it. If you
Yeah.
haven't noticed, we also change up our hair. At least I do, and I know from time to time. And you know, are we? You know, the whole "we are not, I am not my hair." Is it? I am not my
I
hair.
am not my hair.
I am not my
I am not your
expectation. Go, India Ari, we love that.
I
song.
know.
We love you.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much, ladies.
Oh,
Don't
thank you.
forget to subscribe, and don't forget that we are on Facebook, so We Three Queens of Africa. Take care and send us your hair stories. Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.